In the heart of West Africa, shrouded in the heat and dust of the savannah, a powerful empire once thrived, leaving an indelible mark on the pages of African history. Today, we embark on a captivating journey through the story of the legendary Oyo Empire. Get ready to explore a world of fierce warriors, cunning leaders, and a legacy that continues to inspire even today. Our story begins around 1300 AD in a small village nestled in the heart of the scorching West African savanna called Oyo Ile. Back then, this wasn't a place of grand palaces, but a community of the Yoruba people, known for their incredible art and an even stronger sense of community. The village was founded by the last prince of the Yoruba kingdom of Ile-Ife, named Oranmiyan. He became the very first Alaafin, or king of Oyo. Fast forward a few centuries, and this little village transforms into a bustling city called Oyo. Now, Oyo wasn't the biggest kingdom on the block at first. They had some serious competition from their northern neighbors, but little did everyone know a game changer was about to emerge: horses. Jump into the 16th century. A new Alaafin named Orompoto takes the throne. Now, Orompoto wasn't your average king. He was a keen observer and saw something transformative. Horses were changing the way battles were fought across Africa. These powerful animals could outrun and overpower any foot soldier on the battlefield. Orompoto knew he had to act. He wasn't about to let his rivals have all the fun. So, what did our clever Alaafin do? He made a bold decision. He invested heavily in building a one-of-a-kind army, a cavalry unit unlike any other seen before. Imagine a sea of warriors charging on horseback, their weapons glinting in the sun, the thunder of hooves shaking the very ground. This wasn't just any cavalry. This was the elite force of the Oyo Empire, a symbol of their power and innovation. But the story doesn't end there. Leading this fearsome cavalry wasn't just any ordinary commander. The Oyo Empire entrusted this critical role to a legendary figure known as the Are Ona Kakanfo, which translates to the war chief who never retreats. This wasn't just a title. It was a symbol of immense respect and military prowess. The Are Ona Kakanfo was a war hero, a master strategist, and a fearless leader who inspired awe and fear in equal measure. The position of the Are Ona Kakanfo is always reserved for the greatest general who must never return alive from a lost battle. He is so powerful that he is never allowed to reside in the same city as the Alaafin, because according to the Oyo tradition, the two most powerful people in the empire cannot reside in the same vicinity. He is often given an outpost to rule and only summoned when it's time for war. With the combined might of the Oyo cavalry and the tactical brilliance of the Are Ona Kakanfo, the Oyo Empire transformed into a dominant force in West Africa. Their enemies trembled at the sight of their charging horses, and their reputation for military might spread far and wide. This was the golden age of the Oyo Empire, a time of power, expansion, and a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. With their fearsome cavalry, led by the legendary Are Ona Kakanfo, they weren't just winning battles. They were rewriting the map of West Africa. Imagine the thundering hooves of the Oyo cavalry as they charged into battle, their opponents scattering before them. But the Oyo weren't just about brute force. They were cunning strategists. They'd identify key trade routes and strategically conquer territories that controlled them. Think of it like dominating the economic highways of their time. One by one, neighboring kingdoms fell under Oyo's influence. They didn't always have to resort to violence. The Oyo were masters of diplomacy. They'd offer alliances, promising protection in exchange for tribute. This clever strategy not only expanded their territory, but also brought in a steady flow of wealth. Before you knew it, the Oyo Empire stretched like a giant serpent across a vast area encompassing most of Yoruba land. The empire reached its zenith of power and influence during the 17th and 18th centuries, stretching from the shores of present-day Ghana to the banks of the mighty Niger River, forging trade partnerships and solidifying its position as the dominant power in the region. This wasn't just about land and power, though. The Oyo Empire became a bustling trade hub, a vibrant crossroads where people from all over Africa came to buy and sell goods. Imagine the sights and sounds. Bustling marketplaces overflowing with kola nuts, gold, exotic fabrics, and even some of the finest metalwork crafted by skilled Oyo artisans. The Oyo Empire wasn't just a military powerhouse, it was the economic engine of West Africa. Let's take a peek inside the beating heart of the Oyo Empire, the capital city of Oyo Ile. Picture a vibrant marketplace buzzing with activity. Skilled artisans hammered away at metal, creating intricate sculptures and stunning jewelry. Traders from all corners of Africa bartered for exotic goods, filling the air with a cacophony of languages and lively chatter. But Oyo wasn't just about commerce, though. They had grand temples dedicated to the Yoruba gods and goddesses, towering structures that spoke of their rich culture and faith. Festivals and ceremonies were an integral part of Oyo life. The empire celebrated events such as the Egungun Festival, which honored ancestral spirits, and the Gelede Festival, which celebrated the power of women. While the Oyo Empire bustled with trade and culture, the real power resided within the Grand Palace. The Alaafin, the king, was the head honcho, but his decisions weren't made in a vacuum. He relied on a council of 7 powerful advisors called the Oyo Messi. Think of them as the Alaafin's brain trust. These wise men and women kept the king in check, offering advice and even holding the power to remove him if he strayed from the path. But the story doesn't end there. Beneath the Alaafin and the Oyo Messi existed a complex web of power structures. Nobles held significant influence in different regions, while warriors earned respect and prestige through their battlefield prowess. Even skilled artisans formed guilds, wielding a certain degree of power within their professions. This intricate system of checks and balances helped keep the Oyo Empire stable for centuries. It wasn't a complete democracy, but it did prevent any single person from becoming too powerful. Now, daily life for the average citizen in the Oyo Empire varied depending on their social class. Farmers toiled in the fields to grow crops, while skilled artisans crafted beautiful objects. Traders bartered their wares in the bustling marketplaces, and religious leaders held ceremonies to honor the Yoruba gods. Life wasn't always easy, but the Oyo Empire offered a sense of security and a thriving community for its people. But as with all empires, cracks eventually began to show. Fast forward a few centuries, and the once unified Oyo Empire began to face internal struggles. Remember those powerful Oyo Messi advisors? Well, tensions arose between them and the Alaafin. Imagine disagreements about how to run the empire, whispers of discontent, and power struggles simmering beneath the surface. This internal conflict weakened the Oyo Empire from within. But there was another factor at play: the shadow of the slave trade. While Oyo initially profited from selling enslaved people, this practice ultimately had a negative impact. Relying on enslaved soldiers weakened the once feared Oyo army. Imagine depending on others to fight your battles. Not exactly a recipe for long-term success. By the early 19th century, a combination of these internal conflicts and external pressures from other groups finally led to the fall of the Oyo Empire. But even though the empire itself crumbled, the legacy of the Oyo people lives on. Their intricate art forms, like the famous bronze sculptures, continue to inspire artists today. The complex political systems they developed, with checks and balances on power, influenced other Yoruba kingdoms. Most importantly, the vibrant Yoruba culture, with its rich traditions, music, and festivals, is still very much alive. So, the Oyo Empire might be gone, but the spirit of the Yoruba people continues to thrive. This has been a whirlwind adventure through the history of the Oyo Empire. There's so much more to learn about Africa's rich past, and we'll keep exploring it here on History's Africa. If you enjoyed this journey, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic quests into the past. Until next time, stay curious.